Hey, welcome back. This is going to be a part two to Masters of the Universe Revelation. I just got finished watching some of the reviews for this movie. Now, I normally don't, I will not watch a review or anything before I do my review. I try to get my own interpretation of these movies before it gets tainted by other people's opinions. And I've always been like that, and and it has helped me. It helped me look at movies well, with a clear set of eyes, without any expectations, bad or good. But like I said in my previous video, I wanted to do that video over again. As you can see, the previous video I did on that, I was actually at an airport. Long story, but look, let me touch on this again. Now, since that video, I was able to look at some other reviews, and I've actually looked at the series again. Look, this was actually a pretty good outing by Kevin Smith. I learned some things that there were a lot of things he couldn't touch on dealing with Masters of the Universe. There are a lot of different people who have their hands in this. Mattel, DC Comics, some other ones, but it was limited on certain aspects of He-Man that he couldn't touch. Now there's if you know there are different series where this is with He-Man, maybe like four other iterations of this. Now, all of them are good, just as good as this movie, but this one was different. It touched on a little more of the mythos and this whole He-Man universe. Number one, the Castle Grayskull winds up being the actual center of the universe. We just found out what would actually happen if as Castle Grayskull was actually taken over, and we get to see that what the repercussions were, and they were. This was up there with Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet. The universe, it was literally about to be destroyed. They literally did it. Has a very there's some big similarities between the what Thanos was doing. You know, when Thanos achieved got the Infinity Gauntlet, he was the master of the universe. And we're seeing this now. Look, the instead of the gauntlet with the gems in it, we have He-Man wielding the sword. He's been the master of the universe because he has the sword. Now, this is the key part. They've never touched on this before, and I thought this was mind blowing. He-Man, the sword that he wields, the sword of Eternia, what is actually forged is actually two swords forged together. One coming from hell and one coming from heaven. Those two swords come together, and hence you have the sword of Eternia. Now watch this. That sword is symbolizes the knowledge of good and evil. Remember that it symbolizes the knowledge of good and evil, and the sword was actually the key to open up the the actual essence of the universe that was hidden in Castle Grayskull. It was used to open up that wisdom, the knowledge of good and evil. This is the thing. Like this throws a lot of people, as good and as powerful as that sword is, it's just as evil. And to actually master that sword, to become to be He-Man, he had to be able to master both good and evil. Goes back to when Eve bit into the apple. God gave the warning: if you bite of this, eat of any tree off of this, eat of any fruit off of this tree, you will have access to knowledge of good and evil, and you'll be like us, like gods. I think that's how it goes. But I'm sure someone will be out there to correct me. But listen, th- this was yeah. But look, but also let me also touch on something. The We get to see Prince Adam do a something he's never done before, and this was actually key. The sword, like I said before, actually unlocked the essence of the universe inside the Capsule Cray Skull. The actual sword was a key, and doing this show, I'm sure you've seen it already. He man actually stabs a Skeletor, inadvertently unlocking the 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 housing that the universe was encased in. Now, what's very interesting about this, we've never seen He-Man or Prince Adam stab or kill anyone ever. That's not what he does. And in a fit of anger, he stabs Skeletor, setting off a chain of events where Skeletor winds up getting access to this wisdom, and he actually he's destroyed along with Prince Adam and the Sword of Eternia. Now, once this happened, Eternia starts losing all of its magic, and not just Eternia. When Eternia loses its magic, so goes the universe. The universe is destroyed. So we're seeing the death of He-Man, Prince Adam, Skeletor, the Sorceress. Castle Grayskull is under attack, and not just Eternia will be destroyed, but the whole universe will be destroyed, all because of Prince Adam slash He-Man struck out in anger at Skeletor. Now this is the thing, that sword is basically the same thing that you have with you have to be worthy. You have to be worthy to wield that sword. The same with Thor. He lost if anyone's familiar with it, Thor actually lost the ability to use that sword because he was not worthy. This is the same thing. What happened with Prince Adam or He-Man when he lashed out at Skeletor and tried to kill him. He essentially became unworthy. And the consequences were Eternia or the universe is actually about to be destroyed. Now now for him at all of this time that a young boy will be wielding the sword of Eternia, who became the champion, because he was look who he is. We're gonna get to that one, but Prince Adam is actually the Christ figure of this universe, of that He-Man universe. So when he has an alter ego, and when he wields the sword, he has access to his higher self. Keep that in mind. That harkens back to there's some text out there when they talk about Adam, the first man. There are some people out there who refer to Adam as the tribe of Adam. It harkens back to that, the first man. Remember, Eternia is actually it symbolizes a realm of reality it sits in between hell and heaven. So Eternia is the first universe. If you know how they did I think it's DC, how they did the New 52, but this universe that He-Man's in this universe, he's at the center of that universe. He's at the beginning of creation. That's how they portray this. He's at the beginning of creation. Now, a lot of this stuff, you may not get a lot of this stuff from the TV shows, but you need to go back to some of the creators on what their mindset was when they were creating this. Now, we're getting a watered down version of these shows, through Network and Adult Swim and Netflix. These are the cartoons, but the mythos behind them, they're touching on some very serious topics. But look, the when let's go back to the sword really quick. Now that sword, as grand and as powerful as it is, it's 50% absolute evil, absolute evil. It's half and half. He had to master that. When he struck out in anger to kill Skeletor, he became unworthy. You see, people, when you're dealing some of the tenets of the people who put in these roles, these Christ roles, they don't kill. Prince Adam doesn't go, or that Christ figure doesn't go out lashing out in anger, killing anyone. There needs to be a difference between Skeletor and He-Man. The moment He-Man or Prince Adam went out and started acting like Skeletor, everything was destroyed. He destroyed everything. He set up a chain of events that destroyed everything. So those are some of the lessons that we should be trying to learn from some of these shows. I normally watch these shows with my children, and some of the things that I show them, say, look what happened when Prince Adam or He-Man, he killed someone. He shouldn't have done that. That's not what he would what a God-fearing man would do. That's not he didn't act the way he should have acted. So and there were consequences for that, and we see in the show now the some of the once that sword was destroyed, everyone was destroyed. Like I said before, He-Man, Prince Adam, Skeletor. We see later on that we see Prince Adam again. He's in heaven with some of the previous wielders of the Sword of Eternia, and they're all in their higher states. And we see the actual first He-Man, which was Grayskull, who Castle Grayskull is named after. He was a black man. Now, people. Now they're playing on the first man. They're calling the first man was actually was black. When we go back into the cradle of civilization, was in Africa. If and they're giving a little shout out to that, which is great. But what we learned in that is Prince Adam, he is in their perceived heaven. His reward for living the life that he did on Eternia. Now, watch this. His higher self would have been He-Man. His higher self would have been He-Man. Each of the previous, there was another one called Hero. There were, I think, 5 or maybe 6 other previous people who held the Sword of Eternia, and they all met their death, and at some point in their history, and they made it to heaven. All of them were in a higher form, except Prince Adam. He chose to be what they perceived as his lower self, as an Adam. He was Adam. He was the only one there, and they actually used to make fun of him there. They called him Flea Man because of how small he was compared to everyone else. He wasn't a juiced up He-Man. He said Prince Adam was the only one, because they say when you get to heaven, you get to choose your form, and everyone normally chooses their higher self. Prince Adam did not do that. The reason being, He-Man did not act as though he was the higher version. He lashed out in a fit of anger and tried to kill Skeletor. That is why he chose, or he was in heaven as Prince Adam, other than He-Man. And that's key. Let's expound on that a little bit more, because we can't let that go by. Like I said before, Prince Adam is the Christ figure, or the God of that universe. So now we get back to Tila winds up getting into heaven through some type of portal, and starts communicating with Prince Adam. And she doesn't tell him what happened after they were killed, and the damage that he caused. She was so distraught about what he did through his action. They don't expand on that. She said, "No, I can't tell you what happened. It would do nothing but bring you sorrow once I tell you what you did." Prince Adam says, "You know what? He's going back to Eternia to fix whatever it is that they're not telling him." And it's almost like they don't touch on this. I think he knew what he did. That's why he chose his lesser form, what they perceived as his lesser form. He goes to the original He-Man, Grayskull, and says, "Is there any way to get back?" And he says, "Yeah, there's a way to get back." And he has a portal, and where he resides at. And Prince Adam says, "You never wanted to go back." And Grayskull says something, and this is a good one. He says, "No," he says, "they were dead. For them to go back would be unnatural. To go back to the living world would be unnatural." So he this whole time they could have went back at any time, but they decided not to. Prince Adam decides. He says, "You know what? He's going back." He decides to go back, which has never been done. Never. He goes through the portal and is back on Eternia. Now, I said before that Prince Adam is the Christ figure of that universe. He's their God. Right in front of our eyes, we get to see the resurrection of Prince Adam. Just like that. Oh, you gotta love this stuff. Oh, you have to love it. Prince Adam is resurrected, and he comes back. He sees the damage he's done, and he goes forward to get the sword. Now, like I said before, Eternia is housed. There's another thing, they let this stuff loose. Is housed in between heaven and hell. The two swords that were forged, energy from both. Prince Adam is in charge of going to. He gets the sword from heaven. He has the sword. The other half is in hell, and he sends Tila along with Evelyn. Tila goes in there to go get the sword. Now, I couldn't. This is. I'm starting to notice something. They're normally passing the baton to the female. A lot of female characters in a lot of these shows that are coming out. Which is nothing wrong with that, but they did it in this one. You would probably like to see Prince Adam going into hell to retrieve the other half of his sword. That was interesting. This is Prince Adam's sword. This whole mess is because of what he did, and he is charging, Tila is going into hell to receive the other half of that sword. Now, this should have been Prince Adam's duty, but they didn't do it that way. Now, I think I know why, but listen to this. She goes into hell and she meets the demon or whoever is in charge of that particular in that realm, and and she makes a pact with him. He says, "Look, I'll give you the sword, but you need to show me your fear, and if you conquer them, you can have them." The first person he appears as is Skeletor. That was her fear. She says, "Okay, I'll show him to you. It's Skeletor." Then the demon says, "No, I know who you're really afraid of. It's He-Man." He-Man gets to talking to us, and He-Man, of course, is kicking her butt, but she's not afraid. She's still standing her ground. She's not afraid. But because remember the form, he's taking the forms of Skeletor and taking the forms of He-Man. They're not actually He-Man or Skeletor. But listen to this. He says, "I know what you're really afraid of. You're afraid of being great." And Tila shows her true form. She actually turns into a light being, her true form. She was doing what Prince Adam had been doing to her for years, hiding the fact that he was He-Man. Tila is actually a light being faking as she's just a regular soldier. And the demon says when he sees her glowing and she transforms so much, she has a symbol on her head, he says, "Who the hell are you?" He had fear in him. She says, I wasn't afraid of this. I just didn't understand it. That's why I never showed it. So it's a revelation that Tila is someone we don't know who she is. But I have a thought on that who she may be. I'm thinking she may be the next sorceress. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. She might be the next sorceress, but we'll see. But it was pretty riveting how they did this. She comes out of hell, and I'm not gonna give up everything, but she comes out of there. She gets the other half of the sword. They get back and meet up with Prince Adam on Eternia. Listen to this. Prince Adam gets the sword, and they go through this whole thing where it was a creation. It was a robot. I can't remember his name that the man at arms created, and it was a sentient being. It was a robot that became sentient. The robot became aware. The robot became aware. So everyone got leveled up in this. All the other characters. Oracle had his moment. The Oracle moment was pretty awesome. I don't want to gloss over that. I'm gonna save that one. That was pretty good. I always liked Oracle's character. Look, I read comic books, so let me say this part really quick before I forget it. I'll get back to what I was just talking about. But I actually it was in a comic book, and it was when I was a youth. I watched this show growing up. He-Man was actually one of my favorite characters. I was one of those kids running around with the sword in the air. I have the power. I did all that. I loved He-Man. But I read a comic book one time when Prince Adam grabbed that sword, and he was about to say those words, "I am power," and he looked over to Cringer, and he was about to hit Cringer. He was about to hit Cringer and turn him into Battle Cat. But it was one episode, Prince Adam turned around and threw gave the power to Orko. Let me repeat that. Prince Adam, the same power he juices up Battle Cat with, he turned around and juiced up Orko. And I was like, look, yeah, it was pretty awesome. I said, man, they should have played on that a little bit more. It was really good. And so I'm not gonna tell you what happened with that. I really can't remember. I just remember what he looked like. He looked pretty badass. Just imagine that. Just imagine an Orko hit with the power of eternity. Yeah, it was really good. But Orko got his moment in this, and it was pretty good. But let me get back to what I was saying before. But the or once they put these swords back together, and through this sentient being, excuse me, got a message coming through. Okay. Once he puts the sword together, that robot becomes self-aware, and he's actually destroyed. And he says, you tell Man at Arms that he did a great job. That he's aware. He can feel. He's afraid of death, and he had this moment. So this whole, if anyone is familiar with that particular character, he was short-lived in this. He died, and everyone got their moment in this. Kevin Smith, doing this, everyone got their just due. I will say that, but in his sacrifice, keep this. There you go again. In the sacrifice of putting this thing together, Prince Adam gets the sword of eternity again, and right when he's about to utter those words, "I have the power," Skeletor comes out of the staff that Evelyn is holding and stabs Prince Adam in the back. Yeah, stabs him in the back. The same way that He-Man had stabbed Skeletor in the beginning. Do you know Skeletor? Skeletor got him in the back. He's always been a devilish fellow. He stabbed him in the back. And, it's the same thing. Remember, I told you, that you need that. He-Man cannot go around acting like Skeletor. That was the difference. He became unworthy. So, Skeletor winds up getting the sword of eternity and says it. I have the power. I'm the master of the universe. Skeletor does it. Skeletor is seen wielding the sword, and at the end they end the show just like that. They show this menacing picture of a juiced up Skeletor lurking over Grayskull. He's now the master of the universe. He's the owner and occupier of Castle Grayskull. Season over. Game over. They did it. Look, I said before, that may have been one of the biggest cliffhangers in cartoon history. It was up there. This was pretty good. Let me go back to something that I glossed over a little bit. It was the part when Tila had to go into hell and beat the demon down there and face her fears. This is very similar to what Luke had to do in Star Wars. It's very similar. Had to go face your fears. They did it. She was almost like like the Rey character in Star Wars. And she had to go in there and face her fears, and like the same way Luke had to face Darth Vader. It was very similar. And what are some of the tenets of Star Wars? You have to always be in control. Don't lash out in anger. That's what He-Man did when he struck down Skeletor and became unworthy. That's why you never saw him in heaven. It wasn't He-Man that made it to heaven. It was Prince Adam. And remember, they're one and the same. They're one and the same. And I thought it was pretty interesting how they did this. I made a suggestion on how I think they should do the second season of this. Look on my preview on my next video. But if that one was actually directed at Kevin Smith. I wanted him to see this. I actually wanted to see an updated version of He-Man, and we should be trying to see about getting a live action version of this. I know we had one back in the I think it was the late '80s, early '90s, or Ralph Doldrum, or the Russian guy. I think he did a pretty good job of He-Man, but we need to see a really good one. And a live action one, and I made a suggestion. I'll go to it in this one, but look at at the end of my first video on this one, you'll see what I said about that, about how they can turn this universe into live action. It can be done pretty simple and easy, but it has to be done properly. I'm not going to look from looking at the reviews. It didn't get that much. It didn't get good ratings or good fanfare. But let me say this: I enjoyed it, and just look at it with a new set of eyes after you view this. And I just got finished watching some previous Masters of the Universe. Let me get the name of it. This was pretty good. It was the gosh, what is the name of this? It was one of the seasons for He-Man. Let me see if I can find the name of it. Oh Lord, I can't get the name of this, but it was one. I think it was the second He-Man series created by. Let me pull this up. If anybody remembers this one, can y'all see that? This is actually on Netflix. If you get a chance to watch this. If you see that one on, not Netflix, it's on YouTube. If you actually get a chance to watch that one's good too. That one's really good. It's a whole season, just as good as this. Look, all these He-Man iterations have been good as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna have to watch all these again with a new set of eyes. Like you see, I just got finished watching that one again. I said, let me look at all this again. Did I miss something? It's funny how, you can watch something from your youth and then pick it back up again later in your adulthood and say, wow, I can't believe I missed some of this stuff. Some of the stuff is it gets cornier, but some of the stuff, it stands the test of time. And I actually enjoy He-Man and from what I've seen. But they touched on a lot of different mythos in this He-Man one. Oh, there's another one I wanted to get in. Now, keep this in mind. They went into hell, and I think it was not Snake. I think Skeletor was on Snake Mountain, but when they went into hell, Hell's Gate was actually a wolf's mouth. It was actually a wolf's mouth. With the teeth and everything, they had to walk through it. Now, listen to this. I mean, they're so seamless with it. Remember, Prince Adam, he's the Christ figure or the God figure of that universe. When they go to hell, here's a duality. The wolf represents the dog. Remember, dogs come from the wolf. And if you spell God backwards, you get dog. So that's the duality. You're showing the duality with the two swords coming in together, making Castle Grayskull, and Eternia is sitting in the middle of heaven and earth. Seamless how they did this. Man, I enjoy this stuff. I was just talking to someone today, like, why do I like doing these decodeds? Because it gets you thinking. It reinforces, in my eyes, it brings me closer to God. It makes me remember, some of the things we should and shouldn't be doing. Like not killing, lashing out in anger. But we've never seen He-Man did that. See, He-Man was always teaching us. He's teaching us again. Don't do that. Look what happened when he did it. Don't do that. Don't kill people. No, I'm listening. Don't kill. But I'll leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. My video is good karma. Like and subscribe. Pass it on. And if anyone can get my videos to Kevin Smith, do it. I'm going to save this whole He-Man universe. I'm a real fan. I used to have, I had the action figure. I had the whole Battle Cat thing. I did it. I did it. Look, I'm going to save the whole universe. I gave them a a breakdown how they can take the we and see. I'm gonna touch on it real quick. Now, tell me if you guys would love to see this. We take season 2. We come in, do it very similar. The animation was great, but He-Man comes back in. Prince Adam has died. Prince Adam has died, but He-Man comes back in, unable to go transform back into Prince Adam. We see a He-Man, and he has to go forth and try to get the sword back from Skeletor. Remember, we got a juiced up Skeletor with the sword, so we have a weakened He-Man who has to go and get the sword back. And how is he going to do that? In the show, they have a He-Man who says, you know what, this is going to be almost impossible. We're going to have to do something unnatural to get this sword back. We're going to have to do something unnatural and right. And now He-Man knows what he's about to do. However they do this, whatever portal they do, whatever magic they do, they rip out the screen. He-Man rips open the universe, and he's coming out of the cartoon universe into real life. We're seeing him step from the cartoon and into real life. We talking about an upgraded He-Man. I'm talking about a live action one. And they ended. He just rips it out. We coming out. Rips out of a universe, comes out of the universe into the real universe, our universe, or the living universe. Is no longer in a cartoon. Would blow their minds. And I'm talking about a new upgraded He-Man. This He-Man will have to have a haircut. Do not put those furry shorts on him or those furry boots. Don't do any of that. I'm talking about the hooded He-Man with the cape. That type of He-Man. We need to see that. Game of Thrones production. If you don't do anything like that, because look, like I said in my previous video, we can mess this up quick, fast, in a hurry if the production is not on point. I'm going to leave it at that. Watch my previous video, and I'll leave it at that. Good day.